Brody Lee. I was wondering, are you hyped for this? Did they wait too long for this? Will Cody get his title back? What do you think?
I honestly think that they should have waited to have this for next week because that way they can really stack that show. But at the same time, I guess you don't want to take a. I mean, it's tough to say. Like you want to try to stack every show, but I think this could have used another week of build to get it to next week, and then next week you've got a stack show. You'd have the brush of greatness with FTR versus whoever they're going to face next week. I imagine that they're going to have that next week anyway, and then you could have the TNT title match and the dog collar match between Brody and they rhyme Brody and Cody, but and then also you have the world title match between Lance Archer and John Moxley. But I don't know why they decided to put it on this week. This week does look like a pretty good show. I mean, we'll get to a preview later, but I would have waited for next week. But at the same time, I mean, I'm ready for it. I think that's going to be a really good match. Dog collar matches, strap matches, very similar. I'm usually a big fan of those, so we'll see how it goes.
I agree with pretty much all that, which is kind of why I asked you about it. I was surprised I mean, I guess they had a week of the challenge being made, a week of him coming back and accepting, and you would think there's one more week of building the hype by having him do the being pulled apart then. But they did the whole meetup being pulled apart last week, which is pretty fun. It's starting to
I like
become a
that.
little overused to me, but I haven't seen it for a while. I haven't seen it in AEW, so it was definitely fun.
Well, this is the first time we saw like a big pull apart brawl that involved like most of the rest of the roster coming out.
Yeah,
At
that's
least on AEW, we see that in WWE every once in a while.
yeah.
And that's, to be honest with you, that's one of the things that WWE does, and usually it comes off pretty well because they don't do it all the time. I feel like they do it like once or twice a year. It's usually appropriate whenever they do, and it's one thing they don't haven't actually like driven into the ground to get us annoyed at yet. So
I agree with that. And yeah, I'm surprised. This seems like it could be a pay per view match. It's not a pay per view match. Um, so I'm a little surprised by that. That being said, that's why I'm wondering if Cody's going to get the title back or if Brody's going to keep it, because it Brody's defended it against Orange Cassidy, and has he defended it against anybody else?
yes, he defended it against Dusty, or not Dusty,
Oh, that's right.
Dustin a couple weeks ago.
Yes, so he's had it for what, a bit over a month. So that'd be pretty short title reign, especially because Brody's doing good things with it. I think it's helping him. I think he's helping it.
Right.
And to be honest, I'd like to see it. Well, again, we can go over this in the previews. I'd like to see him keep it. Cody can put on a big fight, and it'll be a good fight whether he wins or not here. Um,
I
but
think he
we'll
ends up.
see.
I think he ends up keeping it. I don't know what's next for Cody down the line, but um, I mean, we'll just have to see. But I think Brody keeps it for a little while.
So also in AEW, we had the match Darby Allin versus Ricky Starks. I was surprised. I mean, I've been liking the build up for it, but I was surprised how good the match was again for just a regular match. Like maybe I want to see it again, but I would have given it myself either 4.5 or 5 stars. Just very exciting for me seeing a different side of Darby a bit. Two evenly matched, evenly sized guys, and just doing a heck of a job in the ring.
Yeah, it was. I didn't enjoy it as much as you did, but I did think it was a pretty good match. Ricky Starks is really starting to come into his own. Needs to work on the promo stuff a little bit. I mean, his promos aren't bad. He does an okay job. I've heard that his work on commentary on AEW Dark is leaves a lot to be desired. But I mean, Ricky's a young kid. He'll do some fine stuff. That's something you work on for a long time. And that's what AEW Dark is for, is to kind of work those things out a little bit. Good win for Darby. I don't know if they have him move on or anything like that, but yeah, good match. Really good opening match last week.
To be honest, it's kind of fun to see to hear Taz on commentary when his people are out in the ring because he does a good job of both hyping his people and then also not trying to be way too overboard because he's not just there for that one segment. He's also there for the rest of AEW Dark. Uh, so like it was fun.
That,
Sorry, go ahead.
Taz, I was gonna say Taz is great and he's hilarious at the same time. He's just like, man, I hate that freaking guy. But good match, good match.
It is what yeah. He's like, oh my god, he should have gotten out of that, but at the same time, it was also a really good lock, so I can understand. But yeah, it was fun hearing him when it was Megabyte Ronnie versus man, I'm blanking on the name now.
Brian Page.
Yeah, Page.
Yeah.
That it was funny listening to Taz on commentary for that too. But that yeah, it was just a surprisingly fun thing I wanted to throw out there since they had put the show on. We also had announced that Kenny Omega was going to be in the number one contender tournament, and this was done while Hangman Page was at commentary, so he apparently didn't know, and it upset him, and it just brings on the drama, more drama for that couple. So what do you think about that story update?
More funny stuff from Taz as he's just like, hey, Excalibur, you can't just spring that upon him like that. What's your problem, man?
That was good. Yes, they do a good job on commentary and all around.
I really hope that this tournament leads to I hope it has Hangman Adam Page in it, because the way things were starting off with this, I honestly thought that what they were going to do was, Page has been getting some singles wins, even though he's the guy who wants to continue to be part of the tag team. And Omega just kind of seems surprised each time he's winning, or he'll just be like, he kind of comes off condescending in a way. He's just like, wow, I'm kind of impressed. He's doing a good job, just really patronizing and stuff like that. And now Omega's announced for the tournament. I have a feeling that Page is going to be like the last guy announced. So then you lead to a finals match between Hangman Page and Kenny Omega. Dude, if we get Page versus Omega, and then we get, I'm not sure what the world title picture is going to look like, or the TNT title pick. Look, if we get Hangman Page versus Kenny Omega in the finals for the world title shot, number one contendership at Full Gear, that's worth your $50.
Yeah, it's going to be a hot fight once it eventually happens. It's built for a long time already, and it's still building, and it's getting built not just from the two people that are in it, but like you said, commentary. It's being built by the Young Bucks. It's being built and built and built, and it's going to be a big thing when it happens. It almost feels like it would overshadow, like you said, the title match if they're meeting before the title. So that is interesting to see what they will do with that. That out of the way, we also had MJF possibly joining the Inner Circle. It was a really fun promo where they're kind of, it's almost like two people wanting to date, and they're wanting each other to admit it, even though they both know that they want it. And then at the end of it, MJF leaves the room, and you expect Jericho to call him a loser, but he says, "Wait, hold on, maybe he isn't a loser."
Yeah.
So it was a really good promo and just a continuation of the story. Do you think that they're going to join forces or not?
Maybe down the line. I'm not sure. I don't know what this is leading to, but they do a really good job on the mic. So it's been kind of fun to watch them. Although they're starting to kind of recycle some of the old stuff a little bit, so I'd like to see some more new stuff. But regardless, it's something I definitely want to see play out to see what happens. You never know. Maybe this is the start of a Chris Jericho kind of face turn, and maybe we could be leading to something like MJF versus Chris Jericho at Full Gear. And now that I think about it, as we're kind of like going into like preview mode for tonight, but tonight is the celebration of 30 years of Jericho. Jericho and Hager faced off against Luther and Serpentico. And I don't think that's going to be much of it. I think that match is just pretty much Jericho giving a big, shout out to Luther for being one of the guys he's been on the roads with for a long time, helped train them. But could we be seeing something with MJF tonight MJF he's acting all buddy buddy, and he turns. Well, he doesn't turn heel, but in the process, turns Jericho into at least a short term babyface. Never know. I think that we could see something like that tonight. That'd be kind of fun.
I could see that. There's a lot of things that can happen here, and it's kind of fun that we don't know exactly what's going to happen here. They could join forces. They could not join forces ever. They could join forces shortly and turn on each other. One of them can go face. One of them can go uber heel. Who knows?
Right.
But that's pretty much all that happened with AEW with other stuff. But those are the major points. Moving on, I wanted to talk about SmackDown also. I know you didn't see much of SmackDown. Probably read
I
or
didn't
seen
see any of it.
highlights. Yeah. So at the
I,
beginning,
I
or go
I
ahead.
read the recap. That's about it.
Yeah. So at the beginning, we had Reigns kind of explaining his position at having come off of the Clash of Champions uh, pay per view. He was explaining he's not mad at Jay, even though he gave him a big beatdown. He's not mad at him. He didn't want to have to give him a big beatdown, but he had to because he felt like he was being disrespected. He's the tribal chief, and he needs all of his family, his friends, whoever else is going to be part of his group to acknowledge him as the tribal chief, and Jay wouldn't do it. And he under his graces, he gave Jay another match at Hell in a Cell, and he said that this match is going to have the biggest quote the biggest stakes in WWE history. So what are these stakes going to be, and is it going to be bigger than the eye for an eye match? Because that just happened, and that was some pretty big stakes. So unless they go literal with it and they bring out some big T-bones or something, what do you think about this?
Oh my god, literal. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to expect. From what I read on the recap too, I haven't seen WWE tweet out anything. I'm looking up the recap from Thomas Hall. If you guys are familiar with Blog of Doom, he writes uh, reviews for both Raw, SmackDown, NXT, Dynamite, pay per views, Impact as well. If you guys are into that, he was not. He even said that it's not 100% clear if this is going to be inside a Hell in a Cell match.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know if it's the right idea to drag this out for another month because I felt like Jay was kind of kind of the. Oh, I didn't think he was a multi-time, a guy who was going to challenge multiple times. But as far as the high stakes go, uh, maybe the loser gets disowned from the NY family. Who knows? I
I
don't
was
know.
wondering. That's the first thing that popped in my head too. Was just getting disowned from the family. Cause yeah, I don't know what else. What else is there? A hair match? Maybe. Well, I mean, it's not like they haven't done hair matches before. What is more bigger stakes really? Uh,
It could be a hair match, but I don't see that being the. I don't see that being it. But Jimmy's or Jay Uso's got some weird looking hair though, so maybe it could be.
so yeah, it was just. I feel like what they're doing here is that they saw that it was a really good match. It got really good ratings. People really liked it, and they're gonna make it happen again. Because I also didn't see this becoming another challenge, or maybe it's
Here's
just showing that Reigns has the power to do what he wants.
here's one idea I have. Uh, Literally just on the fly. This is I just came up with it now. Uso's got a lot of tattoos. Reigns has a bunch of tattoos. The loser of the match has to get the other person's name is the tribal chief somewhere somewhere tattooed.
That's interesting.
I
I was talking
I
to
I'm
Ryan about this after it came out, and I think Ryan's suggestion was maybe they had to get their tribal tattoos removed if they lost.
you know that could be something.
That might be crossing a real life line, but that would be pretty big
That's a little,
stakes.
I think that's a little bit tougher. Whereas I think you probably don't mind going out in public just being like, yeah, man, Roman's my cousin, so and he's drawing 2 million viewers a week on SmackDown, so he's kind of impressive right now.
Yeah, and like you said, they didn't announce that it was a Hell in a Cell match, but I've seen a lot of assumptions that it will be inside of a Hell in a Cell. I I honestly don't think it will be because I feel like they would have announced that it was inside a Hell in a Cell. And I think that would be a little too much, especially right after he's like, I didn't want to have to hurt you. And he's like, fine, what do you want? What do you want? I'll give you what you want. You want another match? Fine, I'll give you another match. So then if he was like, I don't want to hurt you and I'm being nice to give you another match, let's put it in Hell in a Cell, the most brutal structure that we have outside of the
Give me what I want.
no, we're not having another one of those.
I don't want to wipe the spit off of my my
Mic cover.
pop. Yeah. Give me what I want.
So we also had Sasha and Bailey announcing after after Banks had a pretty good promo, cut a pretty good promo. Sasha and Bailey are having a title match this week, not at Hell in a Cell, but this week. Is this too early for a title match? I feel like, like I know there's no way that this is going to be some sort of clean match.
No,
It's
100%.
I guess going to try and build for Hell in a Cell or Survivor Series or whenever they want to have the actual title match. But why is this a good move right here, or would you rather them build it a different way?
Um, I don't think it's necessarily a good move, but I mean, if you think that Sasha versus Bailey's going to draw a little bit of a ratings pop, then sure, then put it on TV. But at the same time, we're not building for an actual pay per view. People aren't spending $50 on pay per view, so it's hard to say build this for the pay per view. Vince is probably thinking in terms of TV, so he wants to give that match to his audience. I don't think this is going to be a long match, and it's definitely not going to end clean. If it does, then yeah, I'd be completely shocked. But I think this is just going to have a bunch of shenanigans to it, some type of DQ finish, and then that's going to lead to the Cell match, where I think they're going to main event the Hell in the Cell pay per view inside the Cell, which I'm excited for personally. But
Quite
I wish
possible.
it would have held that off for WrestleMania, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I just like you, I can't imagine that this is a legit match. Something's going to happen, a DQ, or maybe it doesn't even get started. But the downside for that, like the upside, like you said, they have pretty much all the money they're going to get for the pay per view already in their subscription base. What they don't necessarily always have is the maximum amount of eyeballs at Fox for the live show. And if they want to draw a crowd, they promise you something big like this, they technically deliver. But that's where I see the downside is they're saying you're going to have Banks versus Bailey right here for the title. And then it turns out that it's not a clean match. And I mean, we're already expecting that. There's like 99% sure that's what's going to happen, and that's why I'm not quite as excited to see this happening. Uh,
Right.
that isn't always the case that I don't like it if that's the case, like that it's not going to be a clean match, but it almost always is, and we'll get to that later because I have a segment in Raw that was kind of like that. As far as SmackDown goes, though, there's one more thing. We had Jay Uso get a clean win over AJ Styles. Does that give him some legitimacy going into his match with Reigns, or is this kind of more of a punishment for AJ Styles for whatever reason?
No, I mean, I don't think it's any type of punishment for AJ. I think AJ is reliable enough. I think AJ realizes that he's not in the main event scene right now. Dude, AJ, there's not a lot that you can do to AJ that's going to completely bury him. AJ is almost to the point now where he's pretty much bulletproof. So for AJ to give himself up and put over Jay Uso on SmackDown, that's awesome. That's only gonna help strengthen the feud between Jay and Roman just a little bit. Even though we all know that Roman's winning whatever match that they have at Hell in a Cell, um, but at the same time, if you want your audience to invest in somebody as a real title contender, you gotta have him win. You gotta have him be a convincing contender, and be more than just like, oh, it's just the Family Guy getting the title shot. Now Jay's looking like a legit singles competitor, and I mean, it's just one win. You give him 4, 5, 6 wins in a row, it's gonna help him for a little bit longer in the future. But no, that's a big win for him. If you take a look at it and trying to really wanting to invest in a guy in a singles capacity, at least a little bit.
I see Corey talking about a good point here with McMahon having to think about what he's putting on TV as it competes with football nowadays. That'd be especially on Sundays with pay-per-views, but I know that they have college football on Friday nights. They have, I guess Thursday's not going to interfere with WWE at all, but they also have Monday Night Raw competing with Monday Night Football. Um, and Yeah, it's a consideration when you look at some of these matches and what he's trying to marquee to get people to tune in at least for a little bit to get that rating up. And then we also, again, have to consider where wrestlers might be going as far as if they're going to be drafted over to SmackDown or Raw, away from where they're already at. But that's going to start this Friday, and that'll be part of. No, that's not part of our preview, but that is something to talk about. They're going to. I feel like that. I don't know. I was gonna say maybe Jay's leaving SmackDown to go to Raw, but would they do that when they have a match against Reigns, who's hopefully going to stay on SmackDown?
I don't think so. I unless they move both him and Roman over to Raw, but
Yeah,
I don't think it's happening.
I don't think so either, personally.
I oh, not only that, I think Roman is kind of showing right now that he's not necessarily a ratings draw. It's not as if they went from like 1.8 million viewers to like 3 million viewers since he's come back. But they've been consistently over 2 million viewers, and they've had some consistent viewership since Roman's come back. And I'm not sure what the demos are looking like for that, but I think that's something to take into account. And I think Fox is probably pretty happy with that. Um, if they see the ratings starting to dip a little bit, then you can kind of make that pivot and just be like, let's put Roman over to Raw. Let's try Drew over here or something like that. But no, I think I saw a comment in a Facebook group that said that Raw is the A show, and I was like, it's not the A show anymore. SmackDown's the A show. SmackDown's on the big network, so it's definitely not the A show anymore. And SmackDown's been drawing better than Raw has for a long time now too.
Yeah, I hope they look at SmackDown as the A show. I mean, really, I hope they see all their shows as A show and they don't want to do that. But I hope they see that the reality is that SmackDown is the A show at the moment.
Yeah.
Enough of SmackDown, though. We're going to head over to Raw. And first thing I want to mention about Raw is we got 2 weeks in a row now without Raw Underground. Is it gone?
I don't know.
Well, yes, we don't know, but I'm wondering if 2 weeks away of not even mentioning it, are they scrapping the idea? Because it'd be kind of weird to bring it back at this point.
No, I don't. To be honest with you, if I don't know the real reason, but I get a feeling that the pandemic kind of hitting the performance center a little bit in NXT. I think that's probably caused a little bit of something. But then we just had NXT with all the wrestlers in the crowd, so who knows?
Yeah.
But I think that's probably played a little bit of a factor into it. Um, but yeah, I'm not sure exactly why that's the case.
I would if I was going to give it odds, I'd say it's about 50-50% to me. It could be gone. And hey there, Nats fan. It could be completely gone. It could be coming back later after they're trying to figure something out. Maybe it's moving into a different role where it's just a place to go to have people blow off steam after they lose a match, and maybe they want to keep them strong, so they go to the Raw Underground, beat up some nobodies in a UFC style matches, and then keep them looking strong. Yeah, we just don't know at this point. And we'll maybe comment on it if it's been 3-4 weeks, not months. If it's been 3 or 4 months, I think it's gone. But 3 or 4 weeks, and we'll keep an eye out on it. We also had another match of Dominic Mysterio and Humberto Carrillo, and again they lose to Rollins and Murphy, who are having problems with each other basically. This leads. Well, first of all, we just keep having Dominic Mysterio lose to Rollins and Murphy, or mostly just Rollins, over and over. Uh,
this feud needs to end.
I feel like it's drawing to an end. We have Murphy officially turning on Rollins, beating him up with a steel chair. Uh, and I thought maybe the Mysterio family would accept him because he was protecting Aaliyah from Rollins, and hopefully they'd be like, okay, so you helped gouge out my father's eye, but you're protecting my sister in this time of need, so we understand. But that wasn't really the case. They took Aaliyah, left Murphy, um, and yeah, Murphy. I would say there's no chance Murphy and Rollins are back together, but we've almost had that basically already happen. So, but as far as we know, they're breaking up. I don't know if Murphy's going to turn face from this. I don't know if he's going to join the Mysterio family from this. Uh, but are you happy that it's advancing a little bit, or do you just want to, like you said, we've had this running for a long time. Do you just want this to be over with?
I hate to say it, I'm just not interested in any part of it. Like it's just adding more melodrama to this, and it's not interesting. Ray could be utilized better. Dominic has proved that he can go in the ring, so why not like actually put him in some maybe not maybe not world title or anything like that. The poor kid hasn't really won very many matches, but why not put him and Rey Mysterio in the tag team division and let them have a good run as a tag team? Let them get a tag title run. I mean, that's a perfect use of both guys.
I had heard that Mysterio is super happy wanting to do this run with Dominic. I feel like possibly he's also wanting to get Aliyah in as part of this, and I guess his wife's been there a lot too, and just make it like a family moment that he can have before he retires. And I don't mean literally retire as soon as this feud's over, but
Well,
uh,
he's pretty close to it, though.
yeah, but I think that's a lot of what's going on here is he's getting to have this moment that he possibly was dreaming of. And hopefully, like you said, they have the Mysterio family tag team. I'd like to see that bolster their tag team division, whichever one they want to be in. Uh,
Right.
but yeah, as far as this feud goes, I wouldn't mind it ending. I don't care if they just dropped it without any explanation either. Uh, we had Braun Strowman versus Keith Lee in an unsanctioned exhibition match that lasted about the 10 seconds it took them to be counted out of the ring. but but they kept brawling afterwards. This was pretty cool. I mean, understandably, it wasn't an actual match, but the brawling, the hate that they had for each other, the destruction of the set, them. What was it? Braun Strowman was yelling at the ref. You counted me out. I came over here to draw ratings, and you counted me out. You're
Did he
so
say that?
yeah. He said you're an idiot. I'm drawing ratings for you. And then he was getting beat up by Lee, and they beat each other up. This was really fun to watch. Granted, it only lasted a little bit, but uh, that's I guess to be expected for a cool match and a cool unsanctioned match on regular TV.
The
Um,
unstoppable force meeting the immovable object.
yeah, and Lee's been playing this slightly different role than he was on NXT, and he's doing a good job at it. He's very adaptable and good at everything he's doing. Braun went from being completely uninteresting for the past half year to all of a sudden I care now. I want to see this match. I don't know if they're going to be
Yeah.
drafted to the same place. I don't know if this is a future pay-per-view, but I want to see this match.
In my opinion, I think Keith Lee would really benefit from moving over to SmackDown. SmackDown, I think, is in need of some good baby faces. I think you can build him up as a good Royal Rumble opponent for Roman Reigns, even though they don't have a real heated rivalry or anything. But I think he'd be a good setup opponent for going up until WrestleMania, and then Keith Lee could have a good run in the Royal Rumble as well. I originally thought that Keith Lee versus Drew McIntyre could be the Raw main event for the World Heavyweight title, but they've had a match on Raw now two times, so I'm like, I don't think that's going to happen anymore.
Yeah, it kind of seems like they're moving away from that, strangely enough, but it has to be in the back of their minds to happen at some point, just not in the near future. Um, We also had Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler get their tag title match that was supposed to happen during the pay-per-view versus the Riot Squad, and I really liked this match. I've read that other people didn't, but it was exciting to me. I saw a lot more out of the Riot Squad than I expected to. As far as tag team cohesiveness, being able to put some cool, unique moves together, especially stuff that you usually don't see out of the women's division, although the women's division just doesn't have much tag team going on in the first place. Um, and I still got to see Jackson Baszler beat people up, which has been pretty much fun in itself. I know you didn't see the match, but did you read much about it? Did it interest you?
No, the only thing that I really read up on was Lana getting smashed through a table for the third time,
There was that too, yes.
third time in 4 weeks, which is incredibly petty. Not that I wish injury on anybody because I really don't, but part of me, like, if Lana gets injured, part of me hopes that she like sues Vince. Like, dude, you've had me go through like 3 tables recently, and you haven't had me do anything before then. This is all since Miro signed with AEW and stuff. So, what's the deal?
Yeah, I think we know what the deal is, and I don't think there's any doubt about it. I don't think they're trying to make it look that way. I think Vince is getting his fun before he lets her go,
Yeah.
which hopefully happens sooner than later. I feel like Lana's just in this bad part right here, but she's doing her job. She's getting her pay, and yeah, just hopefully it resolves soon. Let's see. We also had a big turn here. We had Ali. Turns out he's the leader of Retribution, and I don't know how much sense this makes. And we didn't have much of an explanation, so we'll get more of an explanation. We'll see if it makes sense, if it doesn't make sense, if it's really corny, if it's just plain bad. We'll see. But what do you think of it so far?
We'll have to see what's going on with it here in the next couple weeks, I think, because right now it's kind of interesting.
I will
But
say, the Ali's reaction to it and his playing his part was about as good as you could do with what he was given. So I have a little bit of hope that they can make something out of this. As far as the legitimacy of Retribution, they're going to have to do a lot of work to because they're pretty much on the level of a joke right now, and they're going to have to do a lot of work. And if they don't do a lot of work, it's going to turn bad really fast. They already had MVP making fun of them this week, calling them trick or treaters and Halloween masks, and a few other really on point shade being thrown at them. I was like,
yeah,
you can't. Somebody should have told MVP you can't destroy them. They're pretty fragile at the moment. You gotta take it easy. uh, and then we end the show with Orton getting the pin on Drew. As clean as it gets for a 6 man tag match. And that usually means something. It usually means something when somebody's pinning somebody else. Is this going to add fuel to the fire to them possibly having another match, possibly at Hell in a Cell?
I thought it was already confirmed that they're
Oh, are they?
going to
Okay.
be at Hell in a Cell already. So
Yeah, well, my memory not being that great in the first place, but I also don't have my eyes glued to the TV for Raw either. I'm watching it, but I'm also usually watching MLB or Monday Night Football or whatever else I'm doing at the same time until Raw becomes a better show. But uh, in that case, let me rephrase the question. Does this make it a lot more possible that Orton might be taking the title off Drew? Or is that still... because I'm not sure if I see that happening still. But this at least builds more possibility.
I think it's possible, but I mean, I don't know. I still think that this is. I still think Drew's going to have a big run. I just don't know who's going to be the guy to dethrone him. I just don't feel like it's going to be Orton, especially the third time in a third match in the feud. But you never know.
I feel like
Or I
Orton
don't.
could eventually take the title from Drew. I don't think it would happen this early because I feel like they have a lot more to do with Drew. And I don't
But
think...
you're saying this early, but this is the third match.
Yeah, it's the
Third
third...
title match they've had in the feud. It's not early in the feud.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. Is I don't think they would have another feud later on down because they're. If anything's going to happen, it would happen now. But I don't think it would happen now either. So I don't think it's going to happen. I feel like they could have delayed the feud or started it back up later if they didn't already have the third match here. But yeah, overall, I still 75% sure Drew is going to win this and keep the belt.
Yeah.
So that wraps up for our reviews of the weekly shows. We're going to go over TakeOver really quick here, and let me put the first match on the screen for us. We had.
Sorry, this could be a little bit longer podcast than normal. It just feels like.
Yeah, that. How long has it been already? About
40 minutes?
30. Yeah, 40 minutes. It's about yeah. So we had. There's only 5 matches here. So we had. First match was Damian Priest versus Johnny Gargano for the. This is the North America title. What is the title called?
North American title.
Yeah. Okay. So I got that right. There's so many titles now. I gotta remember them all. This is the North American title. Priest defeated Gargano. Tell us what your thoughts on the match here.
I thought this was actually pretty good. This is probably the most comfortable that I've seen Damian Priest so far. I thought the structure was a little bit odd because for the first half of the match, actually longer than that, it felt like maybe like the first like 60% of the match. This honestly felt like it was all Damian Priest, and it was entertaining stuff. He was hitting a lot of his moves clean and everything like that. But I felt like it was one-sided to start with, but then you got towards the last portion of the match, and then it really kicked into another gear. It became a lot more competitive, a lot more back and forth. This was a really good job from both guys. Good job by Gargano. Once again, Gargano is one of those guys who's kind of bulletproof in NXT. Um, so for him, I mean, he kind of let Damian Priest eat him up a little bit, not in a bad way, not as in like he shot on him or anything like that. Meaning, he took a lot of punishment early on, and he did his best to make Priest look good, but Priest himself looked good in the process. This was a really fine opening match. I gave this around 3.5 stars, but the more I think about it, the better it's gotten in my head. I saw a few people really enjoyed it, maybe even a little bit more, but I thought this was a solid opening match. No real shenanigans. Johnny tried to outsmart his way to a victory, but there's no interference or anything like that. No rep bumps, nothing overbooked about this match, but really good stuff overall. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I feel about the same way as you do about it. Personally, would be giving it a 4 out of 5 for me. It's a lot of good in-ring work, a lot of interesting story going on. Just like as you said, it's not the normal. I guess Priest making the comeback after Johnny getting a hot start. It no shenanigans, which was fun to see an actual fight here. I was I guess expecting Damian Priest to hold on to the title, pretty well expecting him to hold on to the title. The only thing doubt in the back of my mind was they're playing up the Johnny and his wife both getting titles at the same time, which would have been an interesting story, but didn't end up happening after this first match here, where Johnny did not get the win. But yeah, entertaining match. Turned out the way I thought it would be, but I also thought this is the way that it should be. So yeah, 4 out of 5 for me.
I actually went with my predictions before the show. I actually went with both Johnny and Candice winning, and that kind of blew up in my face a little bit. So,
I do remember that now. Yes.
But yeah, this was a really good start to the show.
Yeah, especially like you said, a good start to the show. Second match we had was Kushida versus our defeating Velveteen Dream, and I know you got some strong feelings on this, so I'm interested to hear what you have to say.
Oh man, it's not as strong as a lot of other people on the internet. I was following the blog of Doom in their comments, which sometimes is a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing. I swear to you, if you read through their comments through a match that you're enjoying, but they're not enjoying, a match that could be good, you would honestly sometimes think that this match is like a dud, like a 0 out of 5 stars. But then you watch it, it's like this is perfectly fine. It was competent. It wasn't anything special, but it was great. Everyone was marking out for this match because Kushida was just. I don't know if this match looked any. If Kushida was he wasn't taking any liberties or anything. He just works a stiff style, and he makes it look good. This was a really good match between these two. I actually really enjoyed it. This was the best that Kushida has looked ever since he's gotten to NXT. I do feel like he's been underutilized a little bit, and dude, you can't have Velveteen Dream win here. It's hard enough already to put him out there on such a big spotlight, considering what he was accused of. Now WWE has said, NXT, or not NXT, but Triple H has said that they've gone through their investigation and haven't found anything really going on with it, but it still doesn't look good for Velveteen. So we'll just leave that to what it is. But just like I saw a lot of people's reactions to Velveteen getting beat down after the match, and there's like, this was amazing. And you could even hear it from some of the like live crowd in attendance. Like after he went after him a couple times after the match, they're chanting like, one more time. As far as the match goes, really solid stuff, and I think this is a good thing to put over Kushida's new kind of character in his new direction a little bit, as they said that he was more aggressive, and that was certainly the case. Showed a lot more aggression, showed a lot after the match. I saw some people saying that's a heel turn. I'm not 100% convinced it's a heel turn, but that's something that we have to see play out.
Yeah, he's turned very aggressive here. As you said, he was even besides the aggression, he was working somewhat stiff, is what it looked like. Although I think Velveteen was doing a really good job of selling too. I was surprised how one-sided it was, but I did really enjoy the match in general, and not in the same way that a lot of people were. I kind of got the feeling of either people were going to really like it because of the out of the ring stuff, or possibly they were I don't know, technically punishing Velveteen was the word that I'm looking for here, but possibly even writing him out to give him some time to rest. But you usually do that in a violent manner so that it sells better, more of an idea of why they're gone, if they're going to be gone for a little bit. I don't think Kushida technically is turning heel here, because again, they had cut a promo that Friday, and they showed it again, Wednesday, and they showed it again during the pay-per-view, that he's like, oh, like I moved to America and I was a little bit over my head because I'm in a new land, but now I'm here with my family and we got it all together. And it showed his darling little daughter and his wife, and they're a good family. And then he goes out there and just kicks the crap out of Velveteen Dream. So I think it's just a really strong style, not necessarily a heel turn, and we can get more clarification on that as we go along, but he hasn't really cut like heel promos or anything, just strong in-ring work.
No, and you can make a claim too that this feud was heated enough to where Kushida was just mad at Velveteen Dream for costing him a chance at the North American title and stuff like that. So we'll have to see where that goes.
He was.
I was gonna say I gave this 3.5 stars. By the way, I actually thought this might not have been the best match technically, but it was a lot of fun to watch. Though
I feel the same way. I gave it a 4 out of 5, so we're about on the same pace with both these matches, and for the same reasons. Not the most exciting because there wasn't a whole ton of back and forth, but a lot of fun to watch and a lot of fun to see the aggression of Kushida. And again, Velveteen does a really good job of selling other people's moves, even a little more than his own moves, because his arsenal's a little limited. Or retro, if you want to put it that way. His double X handle from the second rope is about as high flying as he gets.
He does the elbow.
Yeah, he does a couple of things, but so after that match, we had gotten the NXT Cruiserweight Championship match between Escobar and Swerve Scott.
Actually, you forgot one thing. We forgot one announcement in between this match.
Go for it.
We're getting a Halloween Havoc on October 28th, hosted by my current wrestling crush, Shotzi Blackheart.
Yes, I forgot to put that in my notes, but this is definitely something we should talk about. I'm hyped for it because I I got to. As much as I missed WCW when I was growing up, the Halloween Havoc pay-per-views were always really cool. I kind of wished I was part of that, even though I just saw a retro review of 1995's Halloween Havoc, which got a lot of zeros and negative stars, but uh, in general, the theming is really cool. Just hopefully we don't get a Yeti appearance.
Look, if there was anything that WWE would have taken away from the old WCW, some of the pay per view names like Great American Bash, I love those. Clash of Champions, they switched from Night of Champions to Clash of Champions, which is a pretty good, in my opinion, a pretty good thing to take away from because Clash of Champions is one of my favorite names for any kind of shows whatsoever. Even if it doesn't back in the day, it didn't necessarily fit that kind of theme. But now with Clash of Champions, now it's like every match is a title match. They didn't have to do that, but um, Halloween Havoc, I don't know how WWE hasn't just used that for every single October pay per view anymore.
I agree.
I mean, if they have the name, I mean, you don't like. Now we've got the theme pay per views like Hell in a Cell and TLC and stuff like that. Like Halloween Havoc's perfect for October. You know, it doesn't have to be on Halloween. It just has to be kind of near it. But like, and then now you have the now you can have the inflatable pumpkins out on the stage and stuff like that. If you're really going to go all in with this WWE and NXT, I am expecting the inflatable pumpkins on the set and some tombstones too.
I think they're going to do a good job with the set. When I'm thinking back to when they did the In Your House pay-per-view for NXT, they did a really good job with the set there. I think it'll be the same here with Halloween Havoc. I want Rey Mysterio to make an appearance, but I don't know if it's going to happen.
uh, Maybe. Seth Rollins is just gonna follow him here, and Mysterio's like, "Come on, leave me alone."
Hey.
The fans are just like, "Yeah, please leave this alone."
I could see that. It'd be interesting to have some really good actual carved pumpkins, or to have some sort of like a trick or treat street match or something like that, where they can throw the
Yeah.
pumpkins at each other. Um, but enough about that. We'll talk about that, I'm sure, more as we get closer to it. So yes, now we had the cruiserweight title match: Escobar versus Scott Swerve, Swerve Scott, whatever. Tyler, is it Tyler Swerve Scott?
Isaiah.
Isaiah Swerve Scott. There we go. Um, my thoughts going into this, because I don't watch 205, and I kind of want to, because 205 was my thing for a long time. They put out some good stuff, even if they weren't getting a lot of attention. But this match was good. And I'm not going to go too. I'm going to have you get first say in here. But this match was good. I like what I'm seeing from Escobar in general, building up his character, kind of Mexican mafioso kind of style, but a lot of power for him, and a lot of lucha tradition. And then Swerve Scott, I didn't really like him as much when he was starting out in NXT, but he looks pretty legit right now, and I knew they were wanting to build him up. I think they've done a good job, and he's done a good job, and this match is individually is making me want to watch 205 live.
Yeah, the way I thought about this match, like this is the one I was least hyped for, even though I know both guys are good workers. Um, I'm not big on the Santos Escobar character, just not not really my thing. I mean, if it's a like they've done a good job with him, but it's just it's just not my style really. I haven't seen very much of Isaiah Swerve Scott, so this was I won't say it was a introduction to that character, but I have seen him a few times, but nothing. This is his first takeover match, and I actually thought this was a great breakout performance from Swerve. Uh, I thought the first three matches, this was the best of the three, although I'm rating it the same as the other three. I didn't like how the finish came off. It just looked kind of sloppy. But I will say this, though. They did set it up, and it was nice of the commentators to not beat you over the head with it. Like, oh, he took the turnbuckle pad off of the thing. Why would he do that? Why would he do? Do you think he's going to hit him with this
Yeah.
on something or something? Nobody mentioned it at all. But Escobar just slyly took that little pad off of the bar between the actual turnbuckle and the ring post, he took it off like really early in the match within the first couple minutes. And I knew then, I'm like, that's going to be a factor later in the match. But it was nice that the broadcaster says not beat you over the head with that. So in a way, it kind of was nice that we were respected as an audience to not be told like, oh, why would he do that? So us as a fan are like, oh, I think he's probably going to do something with that towards the end. It did happen. It didn't look very good at the end, but I appreciated that they did tie that into the end of the match. But to me, this honestly did feel like it was a big breakout match for Swerve Scott. Him and Escobar both look really, really good. Escobar hit a few of his big moves. Swerve was able to kick out of some of the big moves. This was one of those efforts to where it felt like it was doing a lot for Swerve Scott to make him look as good as you possibly can without actually winning the match. And I think they did that pretty effectively. And they have a little bit of an out to where you can say that Escobar had to resort to nefarious means in order to win the match because he took the little turnbuckle pad off. But to me, I thought this was really good. I'm actually going to bump it up to about 3 3/4. Not quite 4. If they would have stuck that landing a little bit better, I would have liked it a little bit more. But I thought this was a really, really fun match.
So I'm going to start off by saying I probably could have said this before we even started. I feel like I rated these matches how I honestly feel, but I also feel like I've overrated some of these matches. Maybe looking at the overall picture. So
we're not Dave Meltzer here.
Yeah, no, nobody's gonna call me out on this later. But yeah, nobody cares if I'm throwing them the stars either. But
rain down the stars.
Yes. So yeah, I'll start with my rating here and I'll explain it. I am giving this a 5 out of 5. This would maybe be a 4.5 out of 5, but I don't like to do 4.5s. I don't like to do halves. So this is getting a 5 out of 5 for me. I'm bumping it up.
Can I tell you one thing?
Yeah, go for it.
Wrestling with Regret, Brian Zane gave this 4.5 out of 5. So you guys are pretty close.
I feel a little validated now because I like him. So I first of all want to say I wasn't expecting this match at all, and I wasn't expecting much from this match when I knew this match was happening because it was happening at the time. Even as much like I like Escobar, he wasn't super over for me, but I like him. And you brought up a good point, especially something I want to make a big point about with this podcast is that we have favorites. There isn't anybody that we universally love. There isn't anybody that we universally hate, except for Baron Corbin. But everybody has their preferences, and if you like to see this and you get hyped for it, then that's good for you. And if somebody else doesn't, that's not a big deal. And that does factors into our scores, and that's completely legit with me.
Like what you like, don't be a dick.
Exactly. And I'm not super over on Escobar, but he came out in his mariachi costume. It was really cool looking. I love his mask, and I'm okay with him taking it off. He's still showing it off, and he's taken off, so he shows himself. He's not necessarily in the lucha mask the whole time, which is fine. I liked his pageantry. I thought it looked really cool. I love his dark green colors on the black. I think it looks really cool, and I like his aggressiveness and personality. I want it to be explored more. I think he has the potential there is what I'm saying. Isaiah Swerve Scott, like I said, last time I saw him, he was somebody that looked like they really wanted to be good, but he wasn't there yet. He looks like he might be there. This is, although I've seen him a lot, because he was in like the NXT newcomer tournament somewhat like a year ago or something like that. He wasn't exactly there yet, and I haven't seen him for a while, so this is also a breakout performance for me from him. There was the wrestling in the ring was really good. The story it was telling was really good. The like you said, the broadcasters not beating us over the head for with all the nuances, letting us know we know it's there. We're seeing it happen, announcing it when it happens, not before ahead. I enjoy that, and I think that adds to the match. And us getting a somewhat clean finish to this while keeping Isaiah Swerve Scott looking strong and keeping the title on Escobar here, all very good. I don't know how this could have been much better. 205 is putting on another good show, and it makes me want to watch their show again. That being said, even when I liked the show and I was watching it, the 205 actual show would have decent matches, nothing amazing. It's just those title matches when they put them on were pretty much really good, except for yeah, I mean just generally pretty much pretty good no matter who they had there.
Yeah,
So hopefully we get more of this. I want to check out 205 live, and I appreciate this match being right in the middle there, and just moving the matches from good to really good.
it's on in the pre-show,
Yeah, it wasn't on in the pre-show. Uh,
not on the pre.
we're gonna
Not
move.
that there's any, like controversy on whether it would be, but we're used to seeing this kind of match on the pre-show every single WWE pay-per-view, and this is SmackDown right in the middle of the show. It got a hype package and everything, so
Yes, I think at least
really look important.
when 205 was absorbed into NXT, and granted they're doing their own 205 thing, they're taking it a bit more seriously and wanting to, like 205 and I mean NXT in general does a good job of evaluating what the match is and putting them in the order of hype, not necessarily putting on a good show in general, not necessarily being like we don't care about 205, let's dump it on the pre-show so that we have something, regardless of if it's going to be good or not. They're like, okay, these guys are doing good. They're putting on a good show. We're gonna put them in the middle of the card. So moving on, we're going to match number 4. This is the women's NXT title championship match. Shirai defeating Candice LeRae. The one thing to mention here for me was I thought that, and it isn't always this way, but I thought once Johnny Gargano lost, it kind of spelled doom for Candice LeRae.
I kind
Uh,
of felt that way too, but that was just kind of that's just kind of one of those things that was going to happen. You could have put this match first, and it could have been the other way around too.
yeah, exactly. And that doesn't take a whole lot away from the match, though, because the match was great. But at least I thought so. So tell me what you think.
I thought this was good. They did have a match at I want to say it was at NXT Takeover. Well, of course NXT Takeover. NXT Takeover Toronto last year. Um, I can't remember what month that was, but they had a really good match there, and that was a big coming out party for Shirai as a heel, and Candice did a few things, and this was a pretty solid match. This is these two having the same match, not the same match, but with the roles reversed as heel and babyface. This time, Candice is a heel and Io is a babyface. Um, my only issue with Candice as a heel is that she just has a really likable presence, even though she's playing this character who's not likable. I don't know if you feel the same way, but there's some people who just kind of it's hard to kind of like dislike whenever you watch somebody. It's not an issue of her not getting into that role because I think she does a good job with it, but it's just one of those things to me. It's sometimes it's hard to see like it'd be like seeing Rey Mysterio as a heel, and it's just like I it was like seeing Stone Cold Steve Austin as a heel. Not to say that Stone Cold and Candice LeRae are in the same planets as far as popularity and stuff like that, but whenever he turned heel, he was getting into that role and everything, but he was just one of those guys where it's like, dude, it's Stone Cold. Like, I don't want to hate this guy. And Candice has that kind of likability factor to her to make it hard for me to really dislike her. With that said, the match itself was pretty good. I actually took off some points for the finish. Uh, why did they steal the whole wrestler takes a referee shirt and then all of a sudden it makes him an official referee? And even Wade Barrett and Vic Joseph were just kind of like, yeah, just because you put on a shirt does not make you an official referee here at NXT. So it felt like that was kind of like a shot at what happened on Raw with the Bailey stuff. Um, it did lead for a really, really funny exchange between the ref after he came to, um, where he and Johnny were arguing, and they both were just like, "I'm the referee, you get out of here." No, I'm the referee, you get out of here. And finally, like Johnny says, "No, I'm the ref, you get out of here." And then the ref is like, "No, I'm the referee, you get out of here. That's my shirt."
Yeah, that had me cracking up.
I thought that was so funny. I don't know. I'm like, and I thought to myself, like, he brought two shirts with him. Like that's your problem. You should have only brought one shirt. We wouldn't have had this issue. Um, I thought that kind of took away from the finish of the match a little bit. I had a feeling one of these two matches involving Johnny and Candice would have the shenanigans. Thankfully, it wasn't both. Um, but Io came over it. Uh, she defeated the odds. Johnny also had a really good temper tantrum on the outside. I thought that was pretty funny. Uh, but it was good stuff between the two. The finish kind of hurt it. I gave this about 3.25. Um, but good for Io. She's going to keep holding on to that belt for a long time. Io is as good as it gets whenever it comes to women's professional wrestling in 2020.
Yeah, I gotta say it's funny. We feel the same way about the match, except it's not diminishing my score. It's improving it, and I understand where you're coming from. It takes a little away from the legitimacy of the match, but to me, uh, the match was fine. But like you said, it was a little bit boring as something that we've already seen before and not improving a whole lot. That I think was the improvement, the something different that made it more interesting for me, from being a fun technical match with stakes that I care about to being a fun technical match with stakes I care about, and then the story was a little bit more interesting.
Yeah.
When Johnny first came running out with the ref shirt on, I about died because I hated when that happened on the main roster with Bayley. I hated that so much, but it was treated differently here. Barrett immediately delegitimized it by pointing it out that it's dumb. Io Shirai didn't get the 3 count, even from the quick count from Johnny Gargano.
I can't believe NXT would take shots at their competition, Raw and SmackDown.
It's kind of
That's so
funny.
bad.
Yeah, and then the ref came too. Their exchange was hilarious. Like you said, Gargano's tantrum was hilarious on the outside. Uh, all that to me made it a little bit more interesting. Not necessarily a better match, but more interesting to me, which just in general means I like it more. Uh, yeah, you explained the whole everything inside the ring. It was fun to watch again. Uh, Technical wrestling at its finest, with high flying Io Shirai and Candice LeRae doing about as well as she can too. I'm not a huge fan of Candice LeRae, but she put on a good match here with Io Shirai. I agree with you. This is going back a little bit, but I agree with you saying that Candice LeRae, one of those people that is hard to see as a heel. I kind of feel the same with Io Shirai. Io Shirai was a little more convincing, but it's not somebody that I want to hate. Uh, Candice LeRae, uh, I feel like she's just not as convincing as being a heel. She looks like somebody who's trying to be a heel who isn't. Kind of how Bayley felt to me, but Bayley did go over the top for me, and she is hateable. So I guess she's been able to turn the corner for me. I don't know if Candice LeRae has been able to do that for me yet. Uh,
Yeah.
Personally, I was going to give this a 4 out of 5. The ending pushed it to another 5 out of 5 for me. Uh, just going from a good match to a good match and a very entertaining match, and that entertainment would have kept it at a 4 out of 5 for me. So, just my score, but my score is a 5 out of 5, 2 in a row now for me. That being said, and we can talk about this before. Oh, that's not my mouse. That's my camera.
Okay, before we get to the title match, we did have a couple big things happen.
Yes, I know. One of them. Uh, I'll talk about the first one here, or I guess this was technically the second one, but Ember Moon appearing was
There's two at the same two that came one right after the other.
go well. Go ahead then. Go ahead.
Tony Storm announced that she's coming back, which I'm I'm awesome with, because I love Tony Storm. If you haven't seen any Tony Storm matches, she's freaking amazing. Really young talent too. I don't even think she's 25 yet. So, and not only that, she and Io Shirai have a history, so that's great. And then we had Ember Moon. If you want to go onto that, go for it.
Yeah, I don't know much about Tony Stark. I've heard a lot. I don't know
Tony
much.
Storm.
Storm.
You
I said
said Tony
Stark.
Stark.
Uh, that's a different universe. Uh,
Right.
I'm a big fan of Ember Moon, and I know she hasn't blown anybody out of the water, but I think she's fun to watch in the ring, has a fun personality and a fun gimmick, and especially seeing her on Fox's backstage show for a while, I think helped me a lot with her too. So it's really fun to see her back, especially with NXT, because I don't think um, the main roster was going to do much with her. So we'll see what they do with her, but I'm hoping and expecting that she bolsters an already good women's roster and just makes it as competitive as possible.
Yeah, it's good to see Ember Moon come back too, because there was questions on whether or not she was ever going to wrestle again due to her Achilles injury, which is, I mean, wrestling you got to be on your feet, so that's a pretty tough injury to come back from. It's a tough injury to come back from in any sport, but especially in wrestling where you're constantly, doing stuff on your feet. So it's awesome to see that she's coming back. There's a couple things that I kind of question with this. They did both of these returns like back to back, and it was kind of weird.
It
I'm not
was
sure. I'm not sure how much I like that, but it didn't bother me too much. But I did think it was kind of weird how they kind of booked that. Um, but secondly, I will say this: the main roster needs some reinforcements as far as the women go, because I think they're starting to. We've seen a lot of Asuka wrestling 2 times on pay per view and stuff like that, and wrestling both on Raw and SmackDown, which is awesome. More Asuka's great. Uh, we're all ready for Asuka 2 times, so many times. But at the same time, the main roster could definitely use some help as far as that goes. But at the same time, though, we know how the main roster and how Vince might not handle some of these talents so well. So with Tony Storm and Ember Moon going back to NXT, where they're probably going to do a pretty good job, I am perfectly okay with that.
those are
Like,
all good points. Initially, because it was between matches, I was half paying attention to the screen and I started seeing reveals, and I literally thought that they revealed Storm, and then Storm showed up on stage like at the same time, but then it was Ember Moon, and I was like, well, maybe they showed Ember Moon first, and then I went back and I was like, no, that's somebody else. I'm like,
yeah,
what, what's going on? So yeah, it was a little confusing.
and it's
Uh,
good to see Tony Storm back because I don't think she's been wrestling for a while, at least not at NXT TV due to the travel stuff. So,
yeah, Game is
uh,
mentioning they're doing the draft. They might be drafting some NXT talent to the main roster. It
it's
would be
very
funny
possible.
if they are introduced Ember Moon and Storm on NXT, and before they even wrestle a match, they're drafted to SmackDown and Raw. But I
Oh,
really don't think that's going to happen.
don't do that.
Yeah,
I
please,
wouldn't be,
please don't do
I
that.
wouldn't, I wouldn't be surprised to see like Candice LeRae get called up, but uh, yeah, I that would suck to see those two. They have the debuts and or not the debuts, but the
It
returns, and then
reveals, yeah.
yeah, that would suck.
Okay, so we're gonna move on to our last match of the pay per view. The main event was Finn Balor versus Kyle O'Reilly. Uh,
By the way, can I make one quick point?
oh, go for it.
This has nothing to do with wrestling. So I'm also paying attention to the game day of the Athletics versus the Astros. The Houston Astros have a pitcher by the last name of Scrub.
That's a challenge in itself to overcome when you're wanting to become a professional athlete.
Yeah, let's just let that sink in.
That sounds like a '90s gimmick for Vince would come up with for a jobber. uh,
Yeah,
so yes, we have Finn Balor versus Kyle O'Reilly. Um, Kind of the first time to really highlight Kyle O'Reilly as a singles competitor. They had some promos before the match where they were kind of aggressive at each other, but at the same time respectful of each other. And that shows at the end of the match when they have a handshake too. I really wasn't sure. I was pretty sure Balor was going to win this, but it was also a really good opportunity if they wanted to separate O'Reilly from the rest of Undisputed Era to move the title onto him, especially since Balor got it because of uh, the injury situation and winning it in a four-way not necessarily being the plan. He might have just been holding it until they came up with a plan with what they wanted to do with the title.
Right.
But we got a good match to be expected. Go ahead and give us your review of it here.
I thought this was a terrific match. I think the only thing that I would take away from this match, and it's nothing that I'm really taking away from like the finish or anything, but I do feel like the finish kind of came out of was a little bit abrupt. Um, but as it turns out, there could be a reason for that. As I'm reading on No DQ, this is news that just came in just a little bit ago.
If you're,
That I'm reading.
I haven't read this, but I have heard that both Balor and O'Reilly were hurt in this match, and I'm not sure to what extent.
I'm not sure about O'Reilly. I haven't heard anything about that, but um, apparently Finn Balor has a broken jaw.
Ooh, yeah, I
This
heard
was
he was getting
reported,
X-rays on his jaw specifically.
and to me, this is whenever I watched it, I thought that either for whatever reason, Finn, Kyle O'Reilly hit like a big knee towards the end of the match, like right before the finish, and then Balor grabbed. Oops, sorry. Balor grabbed his jaw like right away, and like grabbed his mouth right away. And I thought it was either like, oh, dude, he just fucked up his jaw, or he just put a blood pack in his mouth and started chewing on it because he was starting to bleed from his mouth a little
Yeah.
bit. And then by the end of the match, you saw that his jaw was, you could tell his face was swollen up a little bit. So yeah, looks like it was confirmed broken jaw, confirmed from Finn Balor himself as he posted an X-ray of his jaw. But I think that's kind of caused what a little bit of an abrupt finish with the match. It did make sense though. Finn hits the big coup de grace at the end of the match to uh, Kyle O'Reilly's rib or his midsection to finish the match. So that in a way that makes sense. But I do feel like it got rushed a little bit. But the rest of this match was an absolute war. This match was, look, so I gave Jey Uso versus Roman Reigns 4.5 stars last week from Clash of Champions. I'm also giving this 4.5 stars, uh, but these are two wildly different matches that got these same ratings. This match was a grappling war. Kyle O'Reilly had one of the best sells I've ever seen, unless he's like legit hurt. And the way the commentary were putting it was like with an injured liver, where
Yes.
Balor kicked him right in the stomach, and he grabbed his stomach like he got kicked. And he tried putting his hands up to get into a fighting motion, and then immediately like keeled over. That was an awesome sell. I actually really really liked that, and that really convinced me that that he could have been hurt. But in my opinion, everything to do with this match was freaking great, and it's a match that we don't see very often anymore because wrestling in 2020 we see a lot more high flying style, even with guys like Finn Balor. Whenever he was the Demon, we didn't see these kinds of styles of matches. But this was a war where both these guys are just trying to wear each other down for 25 minutes or so. Uh, saw a couple big moves. These guys barely went outside the ring at all either. So to me, this match was absolutely fantastic. It's not going to be for everybody, but for a match that had no real build-up going into it, in my opinion, I thought this was absolutely terrific.
We're on the same page again for this match. I feel exactly the same way about basically everything. I was hyped up for the match, wondering what we're going to see from O'Reilly. Not sure exactly who's going to win. We get a lot of brutality in the ring, a lot of overpowering each other, showing off their strength, showing off their technical abilities. A lot of just very, very entertaining in general. And yeah, I mean, it kind of sucks that they got hurt, but that's honestly not going to take away a whole lot from me because it lived up to its hype in the time that it had. Uh, and we're going to see how this plays out as far as Balor having a broken jaw. they're having a little bit of run of bad luck with everybody who takes the title has something that's putting them on the shelf for a bit. I kind of
Yeah,
hope that they just pass it on to O'Reilly because they were buddies after the not buddies, but they shook hands. They were respectful. Balor could say, I won the match technically, but he's the one that put me on the shelf, so he deserves the title. I
I don't think they're going to do that, but
They might not, because I mean, if they wanted to move the title onto him, they already had their chance. They might have another tournament or something. Um, but man, kind of unfortunate. Personally, I'm also giving this a 5 out of 5. I couldn't take my eyes off of it. I was satisfied at the end of it. Uh, Everything was just right for me, and I do want to see more. I want to see more O'Reilly. Anyways, he does such a good job. Tag, not tag, in the ring. Even at the live shows I've gone to see, he's not on TV, and he's playing it up to the crowd and playing it up in the ring just as well as he would at NXT Takeover here. This kind of an aside, but yeah, I don't remember who I went with. It might have been you. It might have been Pat. The second time I went to see NXT live at the Family Arena, um, Fish and O'Reilly were in a match together. Fish got clobbered by I forget who they're fighting, but they got clobbered by somebody, and O'Reilly just shouts really loud, "Hey, that's my friend!" and then jumps in the ring and starts trying to rush, and he gets knocked out too. But
that's
it's
funny.
super good moment. Um, so yeah, this is a 5 out of 5 for me. Would watch again. And that being said, that's the whole pay per view, and overall having for me 2 4 out of 5s and 3 5 out of 5 matches. This is overall a 5 out of 5 for me. Just man, the pay per view as a whole wasn't hyped up as much as it could be, as much as some of the other ones were, and it delivered as well as up there with the other ones. I would say I've seen better matches, I've seen better takeovers, I've seen more hype. But this is about as solid as it gets, especially for right now.
Yeah, I thought this. Yeah, the entire show. If I had to give this a grade, I would give it an A minus. Um, but again, like if I watch some of these matches back, I might like them a little bit more than what I did originally. But this was this was the best NXT show that we've gotten since the pandemic.
For sure, the NXT has never really slipped to being unwatchable or even something that we would pass, but it had slipped from being constantly 5 star matches to maybe threes and fours.
Yeah,
And now it's back on, for me anyways, back to fours and fives. So it is such a good trend. Great to see, and hopefully it keeps up. That being
yeah.
said, sorry, go ahead.
Hopefully, we see a little bit more build up towards the next takeover. So
Yes, I would like to see a bit more build up to. I mean, I'm assuming we will with Halloween Havoc. I'm already hyped for it.
looks like that's gonna be more of just
Oh, a
regular
show and
episode,
not a pay per view.
regular episode of NXT.
That
But
might be true.
I'm still fine with that though.
Yeah, I'm still fine with that. So we're going to head over to our preview, and since I almost forgot it, let's get AEW's. There we go, logo on the screen here. We're going to preview AEW for tonight.
Sorry, I
Uh,
keep
yes,
picking at my thumb. That hurts.
I pick at a lot of things on camera because I'm very fidgety. So if anybody's distracted, I'm the one that's distracting them. Tonight we have the Road to Jericho, 30 years from 1990 to 2020, and in the year 1990, I was 5 years old.
I
Uh,
was two.
they have a match going on, and I'm sure they're gonna have a lot of stuff going on for Jericho here. Um, we have, as we discussed earlier, the TNT Championship match, dog collar match, Brody Lee versus the number 4 ranked American Nightmare Cody. Let's go over some of this since we're already doing a preview, and that's a big match. So let's get you to go ahead and make a prediction here. Who do you think is taking this match, Brody or Cody?
I'm going with my favorite current YouTube act on BTE, and that's I'm going with Brody.
I am also going with Brody here. I would like to see, as much as I like Cody, I would like to see him keep it. I'd like to see him get this legit win and look stronger than he already is.
By
Uh,
the way, I
no,
don't. Maybe I can try to reach out to anybody in AEW to see if they would answer. But I don't know if you watch BTE enough, but or if you watch it at all, because I know I link it to you every week. But
I
I
need to
wonder if
start
we can.
watching it more.
I wonder if we can watch this on
Stream.
since it's on YouTube. Watch it on our stream. What would you would you guys would you guys like watching being the lead on stream?
I myself, that might be a fun idea. I'm looking towards simulcasting, whether it's just us doing commentary during a pay per view or something like that. That might be a good way to start it. We also on here have FTR versus the Hybrid 2 in Angelico and Jack Evans in a 20-minute time limit match. It says it's a tag team title match, which is kind of funny because FTR was being a little kind of legit, thankfully, where they're saying, we're giving SCU a real chance because they're the first tag team champions of the AEW. They earned their shot. They're a legit team, and whoever they were fighting before weren't legit. I guess that was Lucha Express weren't legit, so they don't get a tag title match. But now they're giving Hybrid 2 a title match, and I don't know if we need to make predictions for that one, really.
Yeah.
We have the FTW Championship match tonight. The Machine Brian Cage with Taz versus Will Hobbs. It's kind of funny that they're announcing this as an actual championship match. I don't understand how Taz would be okay with giving up his title to somebody if Brian Cage were to lose it. But Brian Cage and Will Hobbs are both machines. This would be pretty interesting to see them go at each other.
And we get to hear Will Hobbs' new music, which is awesome.
Yes, you showed it to me. It's not my genre of music, but something that I did enjoy listening to. And as I said, if I would have cranked the volume in my car, it would be blasting some Windows. Got that deep bass.
Yeah.
We also have number 2 ranked women's wrestler Big Swole versus Serena Deeb, who is
Probably
probably
a good match. Serena's a pro.
I don't know her that well, but she looks a lot like Elaine from Seinfeld. This picture here I'm seeing of her.
Serena Deeb used to be part of the Straight Edge Society in WWE with CM Punk
I
and the
didn't.
former Luke Gallows.
Very interesting.
She
So
got her head shaved on SmackDown. I'll send you the link to that if you want to watch it.
yeah, for a small clip I would because that's interesting. We also have our NXT preview tonight. Ember Moon is returning to kick off NXT. I am interested in that. I don't know what she's doing, but she is returning. They're also advertising Kushida versus Tommaso Ciampa.
What?
Yes.
Oh, man. That's gonna be a. I mean, I think there's gonna be a commercial break in it. That's a takeover match. Are you kidding me?
That is a big match, and I'm wondering if they're
That's
going to keep pushing Kushida with these gigantic wins here. Um, that's the only two things they're advertising. But to be honest, not everybody's so interested in Ember Moon. I am. Kushida versus
No,
Ciampa is a huge match. I like both of these shows. I think just because I don't know what else NXT is showing besides that one big match, I might make AEW my pick for tonight because they got a few matches I'm really looking forward to.
I want to see if my prediction comes right, and that MJF. Well, he's a heel already, so he's not turning, but turns on Jericho and ends up turning Jericho into a babyface. Although, I mean, you know something else? Maybe they could be kicking out Jericho out of the inner circle,
Ooh.
and MJF could be the leader of the inner circle. You never know.
That would be such a fun storyline. I would love that.
I think that'd be kind of cool.
So that is our wrap up for today. If you guys want to mention which show you want to watch tonight, feel free in the comments. Uh, you missed our thoughts on Mustafa Ali being the leader of Retribution, so I'm gonna say check out our YouTube. I'm gonna try and put this up immediately afterwards here because I don't have to do any. I don't have to do much cutting to it. Check out on YouTube. You will see the first part of the show that you might have missed here, or anything else that we're putting up on YouTube. Check out our Twitter again to see what kind of streams are going to be doing and where our shows are going to be. Sorry to switch it around, but we both have great Twitch channels that you want to check out at times.
We want to get to affiliate here, though. Let's be real. We need that Matt 85 to be affiliate because I think you get the average viewership, or at least you're close. I know that you have to be close.
I'm close on average viewership. My big thing right now with as far as getting affiliate would be getting the amount of people subscribed to me as I need. Not subscribed, followed.
27 more followers. Let's go get it.
Yes, I would appreciate it, and I'm not one of those people that are begging. Like, I'm having fun streaming when I stream, whether I got affiliate or not. But if I could make affiliate, that'd be a big first step for me. Something that would encourage me to do a better job to stream more, and I'm gonna try and improve my stream here. If you look at my Twitch, I would like, or if you're following me on Twitch, I would like, feel free to chat with me at any time, DMs or just at me. Let me know what you would like to see. I want to try and improve my stream. I want to add a virtual soundboard. I already want to do that. I want to try and figure out how to have notifications appear on the stream and some other fun stuff. But if there's anything you want to see, like focus on this or stop doing a bunch of random games or stream at this time, whenever you guys want me to stream. I usually stream on my days off, and I don't mind streaming morning, afternoon, night. Not too late because I like to sleep. But otherwise, yeah, let me know what you want because I'm open for whatever at the moment. Not to just try and pander to people, but because I want to be entertaining.
You know what? You guys have to let him know what you guys want. You know why? Because Matt, you've got to give the people what they want.
Because Matt said so. We are going.
We could zoom out on that, but still.
I don't have a zoom on my camera, unfortunately. I do love when they do that, though. I always think it's hilarious. We're going to be rating DeGrutch because DeGrutch is cool and he streams MLB The Show, and that's our thing. So thank you guys for being on my channel today. Pay attention to where we'll be next time, and I appreciate all you guys. So have fun checking out DeGrutch. I know you guys already know him, and I know you guys already love him. Let's go say hi.
Take it easy, guys.
And we should be over there now.
And you rated an empty chair.
Oh no.
It's all good. He'll be there in just a second. So I have an idea for our next show, or if it's not our next show, but it's to kind of spruce up the production. Not that our production quality is bad or anything, but I don't know do you ever watch any of the clips I send you from F4W online? It's usually Brian Alvarez and one of his buddies usually.
I usually end up